Hey friends, Stephanie Rupert here of The Perfect Follow, and today I'm going to talk all about shoes because I can't shut up when I talk about shoes. So a lot of the questions I get from beginning dancers is, what kind of shoes do I wear? The answer is it depends on a lot of things. It depends on your comfort with the dance. It depends on your physical abilities. Some people have bad knees. Some people have pain in their feet when they wear heels. And it depends on the kind of dance that you're doing. So why does it vary by dance? First, the American swing dances tend to want you to wear flatter shoes. I can show you some examples. Toms, very popular. Jazz shoes, less popular, but equally good for dancing in. The official West Coast swing dancing shoe is about this big. They call it a sandal. They're really great for helping you keep your feet firmly planted on the floor while still having a little bit of elevation here to help you do your spins and to keep your feet from having to work all that too hard to consistently keep rolling all the way down to the floor. So these are the options for flat shoes. The American swing dances have you wear flat shoes because it's a grounded dance. They're all grounded dances. And I'm thinking particularly of West Coast swing, but it applies to Lindy just as well. East Coast, the varieties. Being a grounded dance, you're sort of sitting back into your frame. You're feeling your feet press into the floor. You're down. You're there. When you spin in West Coast swing and in other swing dances, you barely pick your heels up off the floor. It's a very small elevation here. Now that differs from the Latin social dances. In the Latin social dances, by and large, you want to be up. Now this varies a little bit between the dances, but the principle of being up like this is that when you spin in the Latin dances, you're all the way up on the tips of your toes and you're forward. In the Latin dances, you're always pitched just a little bit forward, and that doesn't mean you're like this, but you're leaning just a little bit here. You do in ballet as well, and it enables you to spin on the tips of your toes very well. And your leader can lead you much easier if you're on the tips of your toes. So when you wear a really high heel, like so, you don't have all that far to go when you rise up on your toes. And this enables you to put your heels down without having to consistently change levels. If you're up and down like this a lot throughout your whole dance, your leader is going to have a hard time calibrating, staying with you, and keeping your line of communication smooth. If you're on the same level the whole time, you can more smoothly connect with your partner. This is why heels are more popular in salsa, and also heteronormativity, but whatever. We like shoes. So, what kind of shoes do you wear? I showed you the flat options for West Coast swing and East Coast swing and Lindy and the like. Now those flat options you can also wear in salsa and in the Latin dances. Zouk is particularly amenable to flat shoes. And if you're a tall gal, if you're a tall guy, flat shoes are also a good way to go because it helps you be on more of a level with your partner. And you don't need to come up so much to communicate with your body. So flat shoes can be an option. And also if you have any sort of problems, you can make flat shoes work. You won't be in the same up position, but if you're consistently on level, if you're consistently not going up and down, but staying here, you can use flat shoes in the Latin dances. This is quite common in Zouk, by and large, because it's very happy to sort of break all of the rules, all of the gender rules that we have, but also it's because it's a really hard dance. You're like this a lot, you're like this a lot. Keeping your balance is tough. And so doing it in higher shoes is really tough. In salsa and bachata, it's a little bit less so. It's a little bit easier to stay there to balance with your leader. So those are your options for shoes. Now, when a lot of people start out, they don't go right for the highest shoes. I didn't either. My whole life, I wore flat shoes. I was often barefoot my whole life. I started with little jazz shoes, like the boots I just showed you. And I did that for a whole year and a half. You could just leap into heels, and then after that, I did. You can graduate your way up. 2-inch heels, right? And then eventually sort of get into the spiky range if you want to. It's completely unnecessary. Leaders like quality followers. They don't need you to wear a particular kind of shoe. You only need to find the ones that work for you. Now, different dance shoes have heels that come down in a different area under your feet. This heel is angled in a particular way. It comes under the heel of my foot in a particular way, and this one is different. Now, this shoe works particularly well for me because I get a really nice straight line that's grounded on the floor. It's my brand of shoe. Many people find a brand and they stick with it. You can look around and you can definitely wear different shoes, but that's often how it works. Now, there are many different kinds of heels. There are thick heels. This is called a flare heel. It comes down and then bends out. And then there are thin heels. Now, thin heels are arguably the hardest ones to stand in because they're so thin. But if it's got a really nice base that connects to your heel well, it shouldn't be a problem. You also want to make sure when buying shoes that they fit. Generally, it's a good idea to err on the side of buying shoes that are smaller rather than bigger. So if you're stuck between a 7 and a 7.5 or a 38 and a 39, depending on where you live, err on the side of going down. But of course, sizing it's not uniform, and so it's really a good idea to try on shoes before you buy them. There are different kinds of straps. A lot of shoes have a thing called a T-bar, which connects this bridge here to your straps up here. And that sort of keeps this from sliding around. A lot of women prefer that. I don't need it. This shoe has a strap that comes up and over like this. This doesn't offer a lot of support. Some shoes have a strap that goes around the foot and then ties up here. This keeps your foot anchored here and provides support here. It's tethered in the middle of your foot, and so that can be super helpful for getting a shoe that's secure and a shoe that sort of helps you balance. It will not help your dancing at all if you get a shoe that's too big or that doesn't hold you well here. When you come down on your shoe, you want to be able to feel it there and to not wiggle around. It's very important when you try on shoes to be able to feel like you're here, and when you step back on your heels to be planted. Feel like you're standing reasonably easily. If you have to struggle, you're struggling when you try to balance, just standing there in your shoes, they're not a good pair for you. Try different size, try different style, try different company. There will be a pair of shoes that works for you. So that's a lot of my advice on buying shoes for salsa, bachata, swing dances, whatever. You can dance in anything you want. You just got to make it work and find what's right for you. So that's it for shoes. If you have any questions, please let me know. I'd be more than happy to talk about shoes forever, and I'm happy to make recommendations on my favorite brands. So let me know. Thanks. Have a good day.